World Cup semi-final preview, guys. We have got France, Kylian Mbappe versus Spain, Lamine Yamal. Then we've got England, Harry Kane, Jude Bellingham versus Lionel Messi's Argentina. This is going to be a crazy one. The four best ranked teams in the entire world are now facing off against each other in the semi-final for a place in the final. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Who do you think is going to progress to that World Cup final? Let me know, and let's get straight into the previews, man. Yes, man. This is going to be a brilliant matchup, I think. As I mentioned before, it's going to be the four best teams or the four best ranked teams in the entire world: one, two, three, and four. Obviously, France being the absolute favourites, I believe, anyway, for this World Cup. I think most of us said it prior to the tournament. I did think that this might potentially be a final matchup between France and Spain, but listen, we've got this in the semi-final, and as I mentioned before as well, England versus Argentina, that derby, that historic kind of battle. Who remembers David Beckham? Hey, like Diego Simeone. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be absolutely crazy. And I think when we're looking at it on the face of it, if I'm being totally honest, these are the four best teams. Do you know what I mean, in the tournament, or the four best performing teams anyway in the tournament. These are the four teams I feel have deserved to make it through to the last four as well. So it's going to be interesting in terms of who actually comes out of this as, you know, the winner, if we're talking about the final. But even these semi-final matchups, I think these are almost the right matchups for the semi-finals before we actually get to the final. I'm hoping they're going to be blockbusters. I'm hoping it's not going to be boring. We're going to be sitting there for 90 minutes, you know, waiting for extra time and penalties. But listen, it's the World Cup. It's a semi-final. So I will understand if the games are not, you know, 100%, you know, hammer and tongs and stuff like that. I hope it is. And I hope, you know, everybody puts everything on the line. I believe that they will. These are, especially France, Spain and Argentina, these are teams who are used to getting to finals, you know, quite regularly over the last, would I say, 10, 15 kind of years. England, listen, look, getting to the semi-finals, you know, of the World Cup is an absolutely massive feat. Not something that they do, obviously, regularly. It's been a long time since they've actually done that, but they have gotten to the final of the Euros, have obviously lost to Spain back then, but they've gotten there, you know, in recent times, and a few of these players have obviously gotten there. So listen, everyone's coming in here with some level of experience. Some of the players who are going to be on show, as I mentioned, Kylian Mbappe, you know, Dembele, Elise, Kane, Jude Bellingham, you know, Lamine Yamal, the Pedris, Messi, Julian Alvarez, you know, listen, man, you're talking about, if I'm just looking at these four teams, these are probably most of the best players in world football at this current moment in time, all locked into these four teams. So I'm hoping it's going to be an absolute blockbuster. I hope you guys are hoping too. Leave your thoughts and predictions in the comment section, people. Let's start off. All right, France versus Spain. Obviously, I'll give you guys my prediction at the end of each one. So I'll be doing both, looking, you know, both at the previews and stuff like that. So this one, I think, is going to be my favorite one, if I'm going to be honest. Obviously, listen, look, as you guys already know, I want Spain to win the World Cup. It helps my agenda with Spanish football and the players and stuff like that. But I just think that this is going to be such a great matchup, because you've got two teams who I would say that they've kind of been on, I don't want to say different paths, so to speak, throughout the tournament. But if you look at their performances throughout the tournament, yes, you're going to look at the results. And listen, look, we'll take a look at France's results throughout this tournament. And they've been absolutely brilliant. They've won every single game from the first game against Senegal. Listen, that first half against Senegal wasn't exactly the greatest that we've ever seen, but it didn't really matter because they were still able to, you know, come away with the victory there. And since then, I'll be so honest with you, if we're looking at all of these results, and if you, I've watched every single France game that they've played, I'm going to be real. They've made life so easy. Like, it doesn't even feel like they've had to overexert themselves. Even that game against Paraguay, where, you know, it just seemed like everything was just against them. You know, in that kind of game, it never really felt like they would lose. And if they did, it would have been a shock. Like, it would have been a real shock to, you know, to the kind of system. But really, every game, I feel like they've just kind of breezed through. You know, as I mentioned before, when you're talking about, when you've got the kind of depth that France obviously do have, I mean, you can see the players here, you know, in terms of Elise, you've Bradley Barcola, whether it's Doué, whether it's Dembele, whether, of course, Kylian Mbappe, and all that kind of stuff, right? When you are looking at it on the face of it, you're talking about probably pound for pound the best, not even probably, they are the best team in the entire tournament. So do I expect them to get victory in this game? 100%. As much as I really want Spain to win, as much as I think it's going to be a good game, and as much as I believe that Spain will give them a good game, I'm just looking at it, just on paper, from what we've seen throughout the tournament, like they've just been the best. And when you are looking at it, this man here, Kylian Mbappe, he has been absolutely immense in this tournament, man. He's just been on a different kind of vibe. And, something I mentioned before, didn't have the greatest of seasons in terms of as a team performance for Real Madrid, since, especially since kind of moving there, it's been a little bit, but when you look at it for Kylian Mbappe, he still scores goals. It doesn't matter what's going on around him. This guy will still continue to score goals. Like, he's probably been arguably their best player alongside, Michael Elise. I think Michael Elise has been equally, as important, for the team. But listen, Mbappe is the one that's getting the goals. He's the captain, of the team. He's the leader, of this team. I know everyone's got the jokes, and I know everyone, what I mean? People have been saying some stuff, about, Kylian Mbappe, but listen, one thing you cannot say is that we're not talking about just a player who's performing really well, for their country. We're not talking about a player who, has performed well. No, we're talking about a world-class player. Forget striker, forget winger, whatever you want to call him. We're talking about a world-class player, and he's really, really shown himself, especially, throughout this tournament. But when we're looking at France as a whole, like I mentioned before, it just doesn't feel that they've really had to overexert themselves, if I'm being, super honest with you, which, listen, maybe now is the time for them to, kind of finally do that. But yeah, when I'm just looking at on the face of it, for me, I'm looking at France and I'm saying this team, frightening. You got Kone, you got Rabiot. Heck, you can throw in a Tchouameni, if you want to, in there. But Kone and Rabiot have been a real good partnership in the middle of the park. And at the back, I won't say it's been great for France. They've not really been tested too tough, throughout the tournament. If we even go back and take a look at how many goals have they actually conceded, throughout this tournament, you're talking 3 throughout the entire tournament, so clearly they're doing something right, in that department anyway. But listen, absolutely top team. I think they are the favorites, in my personal opinion, for this game, and not by much, but they are the favorites if I'm looking at it on, on the face of it. Then we take a look at Spain. Obviously, after that first game, everybody was talking, oh, Spain this and Spain that. And I think one thing that I noticed anyway, especially at the beginning of the tournament, was quite a few people were underestimating Spain. I don't know why. I don't know what it was. I think that after that first game, everyone, especially because I think by that point we'd already seen France play, and a few of the other teams. I think maybe Germany potentially had played, or they were playing. I can't remember the actual timeline, but it just felt like everybody was underestimating Spain. And I said, you know what it is with Spain, right? I'm not going to sit here and lie and think that Spain have been playing well throughout this tournament, because I don't think that they have, in terms of, I feel that they can go up another gear. Now, whether that be because players like Lamine Yamal, Nico Williams just haven't been able to be fully fit for this tournament, fair enough. And obviously they are a massive part of the team, but it just feels like they've got another gear to kind of go. So when we're looking at it, especially for Spain, yes, listen, look, they've been able to, bar the first game, win every other game, since then. But don't want to say it's been a struggle, but it's been a bit of a you got over the line, kind of thing. So I'm not going to sit here and act like they've been, absolutely brilliant. But it's Spain at the end of the day. They've got some absolutely wonderful players, and it all depends on who it is that they want to play. Like, are they going to start Nico Williams? Is he fit to start? I don't really know. Marino, Jesus Christ, man. Talk about, I said this before, and I said it in the after the first time he came off the bench to score for Spain, right? Start this guy, man. I don't care where you start him, but just start him. Just start him. Whether it's you starting him up front, then you bring on someone like Oyarzabal later on, whether you bring on a Ferran Torres, whatever. I just feel like you got to start him. I just feel like he has this knack of scoring goals. He has this knack of this. He's the to me, he's like the best central midfielder striker I've ever seen. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely crazy, and he's just been on some absolutely, I don't want to say crazy form, because obviously he's only scored the 2 goals, right? But he just has this knack. He's done it for Arsenal. We've seen it this season, especially, right? He has this knack in and around the box. He knows the right positions to go into. And I think in a game like this, where depending on how France kind of approach it more than anything else, I think they're going to need him quite a lot in this game. I just feel like someone like Oyarzabal is just going to get, he's a good player, of course he is, but I just feel like he's just going to get kind of marked out of the game. And I'm not really 100% sure. But then when we're looking at someone like, Lamine Yamal, I'm just like, listen, Lamine Yamal for me is like one of, if not the best player in the entire world. This talent that you've got here is immense, but this tournament, he's not been good, in my personal opinion. Now, as I mentioned before, he's not been fit, he's not been 100%, and that's totally understandable. But at the same time, yeah, we still need to see. We still need to see. So if they do make it to the final, yeah, he's really gonna have to turn up, in that final, and really prove and show to everybody. Not that it matters in the overall kind of aspect. Of course, you just want to win and you want to get out of there, but he is going to need to maybe just show like, hey guys, listen, I'm still about what I'm about. But like I say, so far not really been that great, not really been the guy, so to speak. So we'd have to wait and see. If I'm going for a prediction, I'm gonna go with 2-1. I'm gonna go with 2-1. And I'll leave my answer in the comment section. So check out the comment section, people, if you want to see who my 2-1 goes to. But I just feel like it's going to be a 2-1 type of score. I know that's a bit cheeky, but listen, it is, what it is. And the only reason I'm even saying that is because at the time of me recording this video, I still don't know where that 2-1 is going to go. I'm hoping by the time I upload this video and by the time you guys obviously view this, that you'll, obviously, of course, see. So yeah, we'll wait and see. But I'm going with 2-1. I'm going to go with 2-1. Obviously, the next game is England versus Argentina, man. This one is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting because I feel like England come into this probably not as the favorites. I don't know what the bookies have said. Maybe they are the favorites. I have no idea. Should England be the favorites? I feel like it should be evens. I feel like both. This is why I said the matchups made sense, right? England and Argentina, for me, have not played that well throughout this tournament, but they've just got the job done through someone, mostly Messi for Argentina, of course, and then mostly Jude Bellingham for England. They, of course, have Harry Kane there as well. But when I'm looking at it, I'm just like, I don't really know, man. I don't really know. England obviously started the tournament really, really well with that 4-2 victory against Croatia. First half, not so great. Second half, they really, really turned it up against Croatia. Followed that up with a 0-0 draw. Again, people started talking about England. Are they going to be able to, make it through? Played against Panama. Again, not really convincing. Congo, not convincing. Mexico, not convincing. And then Norway, not convincing. So you looked at it on the face of it and it just kind of felt like maybe like if they do make it through, it's going to be a lot of grit and just typical English kind of stuff, really and truly. But this guy right here, this guy right there on your screen right now, yeah, Jude Bellingham, he has been absolutely amazing for England. He is absolutely having the tournament of his life. I don't care about no Champions League. I don't care about no La Liga. He is having the tournament of his life. The performances, the the kind of determination, you can kind of see it on his face. It's like, I don't want to even call it desperation, but there's going to be that regardless anyway, because this is a, World Cup we're talking about. But there's that kind of feeling of like, you know what, we're so close, we can do this, etc., etc. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to do everything. I've seen this guy, bomb forward for an attack. The attack breaks down. He's coming back. Like he's putting himself on the line. Now, I'm not saying, of course, Harry Kane is Harry Kane, and he's been absolutely. I was going to say absolutely brilliant, but he hasn't. He's been good. He's been good. He's got himself goals, ultimately. But I just think without Jude Bellingham, I don't think England. And I know Harry Kane got the 2 goals against Congo, brilliant. I just don't think that without Jude, I just don't see England progressing that far in this tournament, kind of thing. And it's everything, about Jude Bellingham. So listen, they've got a lot to kind of thank, someone like Jude Bellingham. But to say that they've been convincing, nah, I'm not gonna I just don't see it. Me personally, I haven't really seen it, throughout this tournament. Who they play, I don't know. I don't even know the right back situation at this current moment in time with England. So maybe Gonza potentially will play there. Is he going to go with Rashford? Is he going to go with Saka? Madueke. It's crazy to think that England will be starting the semi-final and Saka might not even start. Like, I don't think, obviously, I know, context, right? He's played a lot of football, he's been injured, and he's not really fit, and blah, blah, blah. And ultimately, this is tournament football. That's all England care about. That's all they should be caring about anyway. I think before, back in the day when it came to England, it was always about the individuals, the Wayne Rooneys, the Michael Owens, the David Beckhams, can we get these players fit? Can they be ready? Steven Gerrard, Lampard, all these guys, right? Can we get these guys fit and available for the tournament? We need to have all of our best players and blah, blah, blah. But as you guys can kind of see, especially with the way that the tournament has kind of gone for England, you can see that the kind of choices that Tuchel has made, and listen, they could easily make it to the final. I'm not even ruling that out. But the choices that Tuchel has made, they seem to have worked. Even the defense. Listen, England still look open at the back. I think very vulnerable. Out of all the teams, they look the most vulnerable at the back. So that could potentially hurt them. But ultimately, that back line has been able to get them there. Even with all the changes, even with all the mid-game changes and stuff like that, they're still able to, get themselves, into this kind of position. So it's going to be interesting, man. Yeah, we'll take a look at. I'll give you guys my prediction in a moment. But yeah, Argentina, like I said, I feel like it's the same thing. Maybe the group stage for me went better than it did for England. You can say, obviously, because of the teams and whatnot, England did have harder teams to face, in their group with both Ghana and Croatia, whereas, they had Algeria, Austria, Jordan. I feel like you should be able to kind of get through that very, very easily, kind of thing. But ultimately, they both did, so it doesn't really matter. Then it got to like the knockout stages, and this is where, look, I mean, 3-2, 3-2, 3, 3. I'm like, yeah, I'm not really 100% convinced when it does come to, Argentina. They haven't really shown, they've shown determination, they've shown grit and all that kind of good stuff, right, throughout the knockout period. But it's still been a little bit, a bit leave it, if I'm being 100% honest, a little bit leave it. But when you've got this guy, my favorite player of all time, Lionel Messi, in your ranks, and you've got a player who can literally, with the flick of a left foot, with the touch of the ball, can change an entire game. Yeah, that's when things start to become a little bit peak, and it then becomes very difficult for oppositions to be able to kind of change that. And I think that's where, England need to be very, very careful. Listen, it's not like they played against Messi that, a whole bunch of times to really know what he's kind of about. The positions that he takes up, they're not even positions I feel you can even pick up, in terms of, just get a player to follow him here and did it. You could do that. You could potentially do that. But I guarantee that leaves a massive, gap in the team. He's smart enough. Even if you could do it in the first 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes of the game, and you're thinking, oh, Lionel Messi's very, very quiet. I promise you, he'll figure that shit out. And he'll figure it out before you figure it out. I'll tell you that much. So got to be so, so careful when it does come to, someone like him. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Who they play, I think they should just go Julian Alvarez and Messi. God, Lautaro Martinez, yeah. He's such a weird striker to even judge, because I think he's a good striker. Now, obviously more talking club level, but for Argentina, I think he's rubbish. Like in the past two tournaments, I think he's been so rubbish. Like rubbish. Like you look like Soloff. Do you get what I'm saying? Like you look like you're of that kind of level when we know you're not. You're of a higher level than a Soloff, at the bare minimum. So yeah. I think go with Julian Alvarez. The rest of the team, I feel, kind of picks itself. I don't really know too much about their injuries and things like that. So we'll wait and see. We'll wait and we shall see. In terms of prediction, I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to go 2-1. And again, it's going to be in the comment section, people, man. So make sure you engage with me in the comment section. Make sure you also let me know your own predictions. But I'm going to go 2-1 for both of the games. Which way will it go? Who knows? Let me know your thoughts, of course, in the comment section. Who do you think is going to make it through to the final? Who do you want to make it through to the final? What do you think? You know what? Because obviously you still got the third and fourth place playoff, right? What do you think the best matchup will be for the final? And then obviously the best matchup for because I feel like it's going to happen. Whatever the best matchup you think is going to be for the final, I guarantee that's going to be the third place playoff. And that's going to be a dope match, whereas the final is going to be, you know how it goes, man. You know how it goes, man. But listen, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I will be back with a reaction for both of these two games. let me know, man. And we'll see you guys real soon. Keep the same energy. Stay blessed. Boo.